Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Break Room Nerds. I am Super Malbros doing a solo piece on Michael Jordan and The Last Dance. Um, as you guys know, if you guys are a sports fan, The Last Dance has been airing for the last 4 weeks. And it's really hold down the fort for the sports world because obviously we're in quarantine and all the leagues are canceled right now. So there's really nothing else to watch on television if you're a sports fan besides The Last Dance. But it's amazing so far. The documentary has been very well done, and it also kind of reintroduces the younger generation that never got to see Michael Jordan kind of appreciate his greatness and what he did for the game of basketball. So I got highlights of his first championship behind me, him playing against the Lakers in 1991. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that visual aid. But as we watch that, I'm also going to talk about The Last Dance overall, what my thoughts are so far on the first 8 episodes, and of course what I anticipate to happen the last 2 episodes this coming Sunday. Also talk about overall what I think about Michael Jordan's career, and finally the greatest of all time debate, because it has arisen again because of this documentary. People are saying, well, LeBron James is still the greatest of all time, and of course people that actually got to see Jordan were like, whoa, do you not see this documentary? It just showcases how great he was. So I'll give you guys my 2 cents on that debate at the very end of the video. So let's get started. The first 2 episodes of the documentary was very good, well done. The intro was satisfying because it showcased what the drama was. I mean, the whole point of this documentary is on the last season for that Chicago Bulls championship run. Obviously, it flashes back in between that on Jordan's career, his early parts of his career, his first 5 championships. But I think the whole point is really what the drama was surrounding that last championship. So we got to see a little bit of the front office interact with Jordan and Pippen. We got to see Jerry pretty much tell Phil Jackson, like, hey, you can go 82-0 and you're still not coming back next year. It just showcases how much he had a problem with Phil Jackson, apparently. And Jordan already said pretty much, hey, like, if Phil doesn't come back, then I'm not coming back. So it just pretty much, he ended the dynasty for the Bulls, Jerry, because if he never obviously fired Phil, they could have kept on going and probably won more championships with Jordan at the peak. So I thought it was really interesting to see the drama. I also liked how they introduced the 4 main characters of the show in the first 4 episodes. You got Michael Jordan, obviously, in episode 1, his rookie year, how he grew up, high school, and obviously college. And then episode 2, you got to see Pippen's life, early career, and how he went from Central Arkansas all the way to the NBA. And of course, Dennis Rodman in episode 3, how crazy he was and what he's just a fun, interesting person. I mean, he would be one of the most popular people on social media if he was playing today. I mean, just what he did off the court was just insane. And then, of course, episode 4, they actually talked about Phil Jackson, which was actually really cool for me because I never knew Phil Jackson coached overseas before he went to the Bulls. I knew he played for the Knicks in the early 70s, but I didn't know he went out of the country to coach before he came to coach Mike. So that was interesting. And then, of course, they also talked about Steve Kerr a little bit, Tony Kukoc in episode 5. In the Dream Team and stuff like that. So I just thought that it was just well kind of organized, the whole documentary. Made it very clear what direction they wanted to go in. But episode 2 did talk about Pippen. Now, a lot of people say that this documentary has actually did Pippen wrong, whereas it made Pippen look a little bit bad. But I think actually it's really it has made him look a little bit worse than before, but he dug his own grave. It's all the stuff that they talked about in the documentary, he made the mistakes, and he has to pay for them. It's not like Michael told him, like, hey, do this, and then all of a sudden he's throwing Pippen on the bus. Pippen made the choice. I mean, episode 2, they talked about how he was injured towards the end of that 5th championship, and he could have had the surgery in the beginning of the summer, but he chose to wait until after the season started, and he was unavailable for the Bulls for the first 2 to 3 months because of that. That's pretty selfish. I understand that he was frustrated with general management or front office, as well as just being underpaid. But at the same time, if you're focused on winning and you want to be available for this team, you should have got the surgery a lot earlier. So yes, there is some fault with the front office of the Bulls, but there's also some fault for Scottie Pippen. And also in this past episode or this past weekend, We saw Scotty literally quit on his team because Phil Jackson told Tony Kukoc to take that last shot in that Knicks series. And Scotty was like, dude, I'm the best player on this team. Michael already retired. He went to play baseball. And so Scotty was the alpha dog. But I guess Phil thought it was a higher percentage for Tony to hit that shot. And Scotty thought that was ridiculous. But you don't just refuse to go into the game because your coach told you that some other teammate is going to take the shot. You still won the game. I just felt like that was kind of messed up by Scotty. I already knew this was this happened, but this documentary has let other people know, like, whoa, like that's pretty fucked up. So I thought that was interesting as well, just showcasing the mistakes that not just Scotty made, but I think that it showcased some mistakes that Michael made, the gambling problems, the just the media attention on Michael during that time. And also his father's murder, the conspiracy theories that it's because of his gambling debts that his father was killed. I mean, it addressed everything. So I thought that was really, really cool about the documentary too. And it went through also the early parts of Michael's career, what he had to go through to win those 5 championships. He had to obviously go through the bad boy Pistons. The physicality of the game during that time was also interesting. They were just, there was hand checking, there was just whacking people in the paint. It's just a completely different game from today. So I thought that was really cool, showcasing the physicality of the game in the 80s and 90s. Also love the emotional side of the documentary, where just this last week they talked about Michael Jordan's relationship with his father. And his father obviously got murdered, and Michael Jordan had to deal with that. His father was always at his side before he was obviously shot down, and Michael, you can tell that he was bothered by the absence of his father. And finally, when he won that 4th championship on Father's Day, and he's just crying in the locker room, it's a beautiful thing, because you always see Michael as this machine and this crazy guy that just wants to win, but you never see the soft side of Michael. And I thought that showed a little bit of the soft side. I also thought that it was really cool to show the leadership of Michael Jordan. He obviously is a huge leader. We all know one of the greatest leaders of all time, but I mean, he was a guy that pretty much did the tough love act, where he was calling his teammates out, calling them really messed up names in practice, pushing them pretty much to become better. And I think that that's the key. I mean, he's doing this to help them become better players, not just to be a douchebag. I think he really wanted them to toughen up and be ready when, the tough times happen in the playoffs. And because of that, they were able to win 6 championships. So you can't really fault the guy. He got the results that he wanted, and the teammates also got the results because they were able to win with him. But anyway, I'm excited for this week, though. The final 2 episodes, they already kind of sneak peeked. The episode 9 is probably going to be on the Pacer series, where they went to 7 games, I believe, and he almost lost, but it just shows the will. It also showcases probably the flu game in championship number 5, when they first faced Utah the first time, and just how courageous. I mean, he was literally had a fever, and he still dropped 37 points on the Jazz. And I think it's obviously going to showcase the last shot and the final championship run, the final series against Utah. So overall, I thought this was a great documentary. I'm excited to see how it ends, how also people's perception of Michael changes because of this documentary. Are people going to love him more? Or do you think people are going to be like, dude, this guy's a freaking psychopath? You know what I mean? I think the younger generation will appreciate Michael more. I don't think they will change their opinion on who the greatest of all time is. But I do believe they're going to be like, wow, this guy is actually pretty cool, like what he did. Not just on a basketball level, but in the earlier episodes they talked about on the shoe game. I mean, the culture of buying kicks. I mean, he transformed the Nike's franchise into one of the most popular brands in the world. I mean, before him, Nike was nothing. I mean, Adidas was the big one. I think Converse was pretty big during that time. But then all of a sudden, Jordan's like, nah, we got this. And then Nike became huge. In fact, now everybody wants to get a pair of Nikes or a pair of Jordans because of Michael's influence. I mean, just behind me is a shelf full of Jordans and Nike shoes. You got the Kyrie 5s, the Jordans, and then the Melo 13s below me. So, I mean, everybody wants it because they want to be like Mike. So, I think his influence is going to be felt even more now. As for the greatest of all time, I do believe Michael's the greatest of all time. I kind of already thought that before this documentary happened. I think just his, first of all, his ability to elevate. Whenever his team's in trouble, they always just give it to number 23 and get the hell out of the way. And he always delivers most of the time. I mean, for the most part. People say, oh, well, the only argument is the rings, and that's not true. I think that there's other things you can point towards that make him the greatest of all time. He's led the league in scoring 10 times. The second, I think, most is Wilt Chamberlain with 6. LeBron actually has only led the league in scoring once, and that was in 2009. And that's actually the only category he's led the league in besides is scoring. That's it. He's never led the league in assists, steals, rebounds, stuff like that. And Jordan obviously has also led the league in steals. So he's a great defender. He's won a Defensive Player of the Year award. He's a 9-time first team defensive, whereas LeBron is only a 6-time. So there's a lot of things. I also think that LeBron James melting down in Dallas, losing to San Antonio in 2014, and even the last year where he missed the playoffs with the Lakers are all kind of indications like, I don't know, like that's something that, like, in your prime you shouldn't be missing the playoffs. First of all, I understand he was injured, but I think that he came back and they were still in the 6th or 7th seed when he came back from injury, and he still couldn't will them into that in that playoff spot. So that's something that I think will be used in narratives when we argue the greatest of all time. And finally, the Dallas series and the Spurs series are obviously, because when you see Michael Jordan's finals record, you don't see those mishaps. You don't see him choking against Dirk and Jason Kidd and Jason Terry. You know what I mean? And LeBron has. So I think LeBron is the second greatest of all time. Doesn't mean I disrespect him, and I don't think he's a scrub. He's the second best. I just think that Michael is the greatest I've ever seen. The relentlessness to win, the skill set. He's a better free throw shooter. He has great post moves. A lot of Kobe's post moves came from Michael. And then, of course, just his ability to drive, his athleticism, and then his defensive tenacity as well. Just overall package. Like I said, the greatest of all time for me is a combination of things. It's not just one thing I look at. It's a lot of things I look at. And overall, Michael is a better player. Had the better career too. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this video. I'll be doing more sports videos, especially once more sporting events start to, open up. And I know that talking about, MLB resuming. So I'll talk about baseball sometime, and hopefully the basketball season resumes as well. We'll talk about that. And also I know soccer is probably going to resume in the Premier League, and I think also the German league. So I'll talk about that too. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys haven't already subscribed to our channels, we don't just do sports videos, we also do game videos, game reviews. Of course, my friend Azuri23 is going to be co-hosting with me most of the time. This is just one thing I want to do by myself. But overall, it's going to be a kind of duo thing. But hit the like button if you guys enjoy it, and if you guys have any issues or any kind of ideas for topics in the future for sports as well as any genre that we talk about, leave a comment below, because we appreciate your feedback. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time.